We say to me too much late, but I didn't hear anything out there. Thanks so much.
Kids, when I was training, we could just.
Yeah, that's what kind of does.
Time to go. I know, it's like, I think I was just a little, maybe a year after 40, it's like everything just starts to go.
Hey, how are you?
Not really making fun.
Afternoon and welcome to the July 18th, 2022 meeting of the City of Charleston's Design Review Board. My name is Erica Chase, the board chairperson. Members of the board with us tonight are Dino Sliolio, Ben Whitener, Eric Stevens, Ashley Jackwell, and Andy Smith should be joining us shortly. Members of the staff with us tonight are David Weeks and Patrick Carlson. Hi, Patrick. We do not have any board members that are recused from any agenda items. And 1521 Savannah Highway, agenda item number 6 has been deferred by the applicant. The order of the meeting will be as follows. David will give a project overview and context for any new projects. Then the applicant team will have 10 minutes for their project presentation. If time beyond 10 minutes is needed, please let me know at the start of your presentation. We will then open up the meeting for board questions and public comments. David will then give city staff recommendations, and then the applicant team may respond or clarify to public comments and city staff comments. We will then go into board discussion and a motion. If the applicant may only speak during this time when recognized by one of the board members, or to clarify only inaccurate information that is being stated. If everyone could please silence all cell phones, and I do want to remind everyone that comments from the public are limited to site design and architecture only. Our board does not have authority over zoning issues such as land use, density, traffic, or flooding. So with that, we'll get started with agenda item number 1.
I have an extra. Oh wait, no, that's not.
Number 1, 3486 and 3492 Natick Highway, requesting approval for the use of 5/16 inch siding rather than the DRB policy standard of 5/8 inch siding.
Let me know.
Okay, so you're gonna do it. You want me to jump in, but okay, you can unmute. So we'll start with, I'm hoping you have at the beginning the past prior panel.
Just state your name to the record.
Oh, sorry, Laura Helmitsky with SGANW on behalf of Middleburg. We also have the with Middleburg Construction. So we're here today to request the use of James Hardy fibers cement siding. The reason for the request is staff commented that they would like us to use a 5/8 inch thick cementitious siding. As of last March, James Hardy has completed their harvesting line. In April of this year, they did bring back on what I will call, what they call their build product, which basically installs flat to the wall in a 5/8 inch product. So that's, your shiplap, your beaver. James Hardy, the Southeast rep, has confirmed for me that that product is still unavailable on the East Coast. So it's only available on the West Coast. Will only be available on the East Coast once they bring their brand new production line up. He said at very earliest, they're looking at Q2. I do have confirmation too that Nietzsche Hog does not have full production or any production of their 5/8" flat siding product available at this point. As far as I'm aware, those were the only two true fiber cement product manufacturers that made 5/8" that the Lord did not produce in this one. So David, if you, I'll kind of situate you in the product or the, okay, well, start with, this is really the literature of James Harvey. So what we're requesting is the approval of the use of fiber cement, true fiber cement product. James Harvey is our preferred manufacturer at this point. Nijiha would be, as for example, an equal. At this point, we're aiming for and specifying James Harvey. So this is their coastal region packet, their specifications. I'll run you through the bonus and you can advance. So we'll be using the HC10 product, which is specifically designed and manufactured for hot, humid coastal regions like South Carolina, the Charleston area. You can advance these for you. Kind of talks about the specifications and the value of it being in South Carolina. What I've done is pull just the sheets of the products that we're looking to use. All of their products right now are the 5/16. But smooth or wood, I know the staff commented smooth, of course we would use that. But again, demonstrating only available in the 5/16. So we're moving into some install pictures. Right from James Harvey website, I wanted to demonstrate how good, how high quality of a product it does look installed. These next two slides demonstrate the difference between, and I think probably most relevant to this conversation will be the wood. James Harvey does offer additional benefits to, let's say, a wood siding product, being that it's more durable, which I know is listed in some of the VAR principles. It maintains a higher level of fire resistance. The paint typically lasts longer than, combines on in the question, but typically lasts longer than on wood. Again, just reiterating the durability of this product and reiterating the install pictures. These are about install pictures from James Harvey. When we move to the end, so if you remember, we're proposing, I think we'll get to this month, the images renderings of our older submittals to you guys. Flat siding, a true flat siding, and boarding that into the two fiber cement products that we're looking to use. The last sheet data that you were just on was the wall sections, James Harvey standard for install wall sections. I did include our window head jam and sill sheet because I didn't want there to be confusion that we would not recess the windows for these two fields. So of course we would amend these James Harvey standard details to accommodate that recessed window. The advanced on the slide data to show the blue there on the right hand side of that sheet. To amend those standard details. And not just want to show you James Harvey's product install. These are SGA product installs of the 5/16 product. As we designed them as we quality control through the construction administration product process. This specific image here is the Ashley Rivers lifestyle storage building that we recently completed. Actually included this one, not only because it's City of Charleston really, but these both the 5/8" flat siding. This project was completed while that product was still being manufactured, and 5/16. I know shadow lines are really important to the board, so I wanted to show a side-by-side comparison of those shadow lines. The next one is just another angle, another view. So looking at these photos, and I hope you were able to see them up closer, but the gray box, the gray mass that is to the left-hand side of this lifestyle storage is the 5/8" siding. And the two gray boxes, one is directly adjacent to the taller box is 5/16, and the one that wraps the corner is also 5/16. You can see there at the juncture, sort of that inner corner, the difference between shadow lines. And as if you just want to flip through these, again, these are SGA NW projects. Most of them are custom residential homes. They wanted to pull that residential component in for the review, but all 5/16 product each front cones. So the level and the quality that we can achieve with James Hardy standard 5/16. So conclusion here really is that the 16's true fiber cement product line has been discontinued. 5/8 is not being manufactured, it is not available. So in trying to meet, or we do believe we need with the products that are available right now, the BAR's principle, the city's principle, that these products are high quality, high quality material with good workmanship of the highest, most durable quality. Caveat that with most durable quality available today. And these homes too, they're small, they're 800 to 1,200 square foot homes. So some of the policy statement standards, when we want here to that the James Hardy 5/16 product does become kind of respecting the size, scale, proportions of its setting. Again, our largest building is this clubhouse, is 3,500 square feet roughly. But I don't know if you want to flip back up a little bit, David. There's an entry image. Yeah, sitting just pretty close. That's
This one.
yeah, we've moved into this site area here off of Navy Highway. So these 3 parcels, this product is being built on 3 parcels, which has frontage on the DRB corridor. At the front of perhaps the site plan. Not very visible. I mean, we're set back distance with a landscape buffer, existing landscape buffer. So not highly visible. These buildings will not be highly visible from that corridor. We did, I don't know if I can keep going, we did explore alternative materials, a true wood product being one of them. We didn't feel it met the durability that the VAR standards and principles are testing. We didn't feel it had the same life safety qualities of fireproofing as a James Hardy fiber cement product. We had concerns about the climate, and the longevity of that product. Second product we looked at in pretty good depth is Boral. They do have a 5/8 siding product, not a true fiber cement product. Product is a fly ash and polymer instead of a fiber and cement product. The warranty on it is not comparable to James Hardy. We're looking at a 20-year warranty instead of a 30-year warranty. And on it is a face nail, so with the James Hardy product, you actually can conceal the nailing pattern. We do have some concerns about the long time maintenance longevity of the Boral, where those nail heads can fade at a slightly different rate or pop. And then anecdotally, I've called around to quite a few lumber suppliers. It seems that this product is on allocation for a very long time due to supply chain issues. The product is relatively new. I understand it was brought online really when Hardy retreated from producing their Artisan line. So the back stock is not there. The supply chain issues do exist at it as substantially different. That's what it means. So, no, any questions?
Can we get you?
Yeah. 1 hour.
Very well done. With no
I
question.
have a question. So you said Artisan, they are planning on coming back?
So Artisan line is gone forever indefinitely. What they have brought back, so they took away the Artisan line, all 5/8 products back in March.
And they don't intend to bring
2022. And then
clabbered 5/8 back at all.
what they have brought back, they're now calling the Aspire line. The Aspire line, they brought back the big canvas, and then they brought back what they call the mill line. Again, the mill line is, there's no lapping ever to it. It's just your ship lap or your feed-through product, so the ones that face mount to the vertical wall, they brought that back in 5/8. It is manufactured, the production line is on the West Coast, and they are not shipping it over because of shipping costs right now. They're not shipping it to the East Coast. So what Addison at James Hart explained to me is they're actually looking at building a new Aspire line somewhere on the East Coast in order to help service flat panel product, the larger scale product.
But that still doesn't accomplish clabbered.
No, there's no, no, there will be no.
It's not coming back.
No, nor is the board and back product as well. Nichihag has not said that their product is gone forever, just that they stop. And they've not said, as James Harvey has said, we're not bringing it back. Nichihag has not gone that far at this point, but it is not available.
Questions?
I mean, the reason I have issue with the 5/16s, I've seen it long runs where it just starts to wave. That's such a long run. And there are a couple buildings in here. Long runs, and some of them have broken them up. Kind of like what you showed in the storage building where it was broken up by vertical trim. And then you broke it up like every 10 feet, broken up. But that's my only concern is I've seen it doing condition assessments where it's waves and long runs. But as far as the board's concerned, I would think we would have to change the policy statements.
Let's
It's
get into
not-
discussion.
Okay.
Let's
Am
get
I
into
allowed to
discussion now.
respond to that?
I guess. I don't-
Okay, if you flip David to the SJ and W install photos, and I'll just show these as an example. We have pretty long runs, much longer in fact than any of the structures we have. I'm sorry, I think it's farther towards then, right before we get into the renderings of the site. Much longer runs than any of the buildings we'll put on or that are sized for the site. Other consideration is that there is a construction tolerance that has to be met. It's what is it, 3/8 inch to a foot. And that's I thought as the architect during the quality control and construction administration phase. But I think Middleburg too would stand. And this is a product that they're going to retain and own and maintain. And they have a lot vested in making sure that their product looks good, make sure their product is rentable and better. So as a team between Middleburg and SJ, I think that's our job to catch that quality control during the construction. Because it has to meet the tolerance, and this product is designed to meet that construction tolerance standard. I think pretty. So that is something, I mean, that's something we absolutely get. I would have the same.
I've just seen it, but yeah, I've just seen waiting 5/16s in a lot of different applications. And I mean, yeah. And I think the 5/8, if it's available, it's the way to keep it.
Yeah, and I think us as the architect would absolutely agree.
Any other questions? So anyone here from the public or to speak on the project? If not, staff comments, David?
Thank you. Staff is aware of the 5/8 cementitious siding that is supplied into the discontinuation party. Staff finds out reviewing an exception to the policy required 5/8 siding may be appropriate on case-by-case basis during short supply. Regarding for entertaining of 5/16 siding in this project, with the exception of the clubhouse and townhouse building. The wall spans are fairly short, which would prevent much of a concern. to anybody. With the exception of a few units, most of the project is visible from the highway. All is to consider include the use of millwork and oil more so. Approval of the thinner 5/16 siding product provides further importance to recessing the windows, as has been discussed prior. But we do recommend we use limited visibility of the project.
Thanks, David. Anything to respond to? We're now in board discussion.
It sounds like we can do included on a special basis, and we're not going to categorically change the recommendations at this point. This can be
Unit policy.
the policy, the motion is specific.
Will be visited.
Has
Do we have an effect in the policy? Or is that- I mean, is there any way you can do like a change to the policy until these products become available?
Well, that's what we're talking about. We're gonna make it.
Is that,
discuss.
at this point, his VAR that we got for the meeting there? I think we feel by it, we feel the respect to the streets, we really know a little bit more.
It's kind of a silly question, but they are not in the process because they're not allowed. Or
Yeah. You typically ask for artists to take stuff.
I'm willing to make a motion for staff's recommendation of approval on a special case by case basis as far as this project is concerned. So yes, I'd be willing to.
Let's go for motion for approval on a case by case basis. And is there a second? So, thank you, Ben. Any further discussion? Call roll. Andy? Ashley? Aaron? Yes. And I'm also yes in favor. Thank you all very much.
And thank you.
That was great. Very well done. Thank you. Next on the agenda is item number 2, 2012 Main Street, requesting conceptual approval for a new one-story office and garage for Pepper Builders.
And just a few concept slides to show really where the project is. If you could go through the concept screen, you can see the red thumbs back. Where 2012 meeting. The demo was approved at the last meeting. With another poster image, another poster image. So it's just this green area from meeting back to that.
Hey, I'm Jimmy Tupper, with Tupper Builders and T&L Development. I'm the T in the T&L. We've known the peninsula for over, I've known the peninsula for over 27 years, but my business has been down here for over 14. Renting, and we found a piece of property we bought, and last year, we went to move forward with building, and we found this site last year, and we've been working on it a little bit not too much of a drastic hurry, but now that everything's changing up in that area and rents are going up in that area where we're renting at on Perry Street, we decided to move forward. And what we'd like to ask for is conceptual to the drawing, so we can move forward with an architectural set of plans. We have our civil set done and our tree variants. And we actually just, to me, I work on old houses all day long, every day. And I do like a modern design, so I thought it was different for us to come up with a little bit more modern design with the wooden all still involved. This will be set up as our office, our shop for our cabinets, and the back one building will be storage and a showroom in the back. There's a big step for what we're doing, and hopefully a long haul from here on out. And we just felt like up and down Meeting Street, buildings are getting a lot taller. We kept ours down didn't want to build two-story or anything to show that, what was there before, we're almost matching the height. I think we're actually a little bit shorter, but I feel like we fit in with the whole area around us.
Awesome. Any questions?
Thank you. Just an architect involved.
So right now, it's not because my cousin, they do design build up in Somerville. So it was us and my other was at the L and it's Lang, another guy I work with, one of my supervisors. And we went out back and forth about what we wanted, and we worked with the draftsman. And then Edward, we will use architect once we get this conceptual. We're trying to save the money at this point to get to a certain point. We just want to make sure it's what we both wanted that forward, so we'll take that step next. We just want to make sure we were in the right direction.
When we talk about conceptual, architectural architecture, were there references within the area? This is our offices in this area, travel this road daily, and seeing some of the new evolution of the product that's coming up in the road. Any inspiration from any of that?
The biggest thing I like glass, and this is the wood siding that's on the corner right at Calhoun and East Bay. I love that mahogany siding in there. I didn't feel like I could do mahogany everywhere. I do something. I like the metal panels also. That was kind of where we went with it. The metal panels and mahogany, and the soffit's going to be all the mahogany. And our hopefully this other one is going to give us a deal on the mahogany. Not so much what we call it.
And you considered a two-story structure?
We did it first, and then for what we want to do, I don't want to go up a flight of stairs, and I'm getting ready to turn 47. I'll be working 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to worry about it later.
You're really gonna have, I mean, it shows 18'11" for the lowest spot on the.
Yeah, so basically the back when it says warehouse, it's zoned for my cabinet shop, my ductwork above for the vacuums. I want it higher up. So I just kept the whole line that way. So yeah, everything's gonna go that high.
So there aren't gonna be any ceilings inside, it's just all over.
Well, the front part will be, the front part of the front building will be closed in for an office, and the whole, about 2/3 of the back of the front one, and then 2/3 of the back one will be open, and 1/3 of the back will be showroom.
You're showing like if the window, so the windows aren't spandrel glass, that's a true window.
That's storefront glass.
Right, that's what I mean, you can see through it. It's
Yes.
transparent.
Yep.
So your ceilings are gonna be like 17 feet high.
Yeah.
I did have a few other questions.
Hopefully, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
So there was a couple, I think, staff members. On the rear elevation, you had metal panels shown in a different pattern than you were showing everywhere else.
Yeah, that is, we were gonna put a fence around there, I think, in the landscape plan. So we were curious if we could get away with that without doing the expensive metal panels and do less expensive metal panels. That's the whole story.
Did you not look, I mean, I know there's an existing building on this site. Did you give any thought to that existing building in any kind of way? Or did you look at it on the site, see if it looks like you tried to sort of match where it was existing. It looks like your building's pushed forward to the street a little bit more.
We actually changed it. David said he would not recommend us. We moved it back to the actual site of the other building. Or a new set of plans, so it starts exactly where the other building is. We're giving up, I think, 200 square feet of that front building because we have to match the turnaround spot in the back to match what David wanted. He said, don't put it, they won't recommend it if they put it far forward.
Okay, it looks like you pushed it forward probably another 5 or 6 feet where there was a porch. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a porch. So yeah, it does match the porch. I will say that. All the square footage I can get.
And so it's office, it's it's a business and warehouse, and you said retail?
No. So basically what it'll work is the office building will be up front, then the cabinet shop will be right there in the second part of it. And then the back building will be a showroom for us, and then storage for all the finished cabinets. We not only do GC work, we do build our own cabinets.
One of the elevations of the building shows a garage, 2 garage doors or roll-up doors.
Yeah, there's actually 4 total.
Okay, where are those located?
So when you look at, when you look at the elevation of the back building,
Or if you could show me the site plan.
here and here and here, and here they back all 4.
Site plan appears to show coming down the sidewalk. One of those, and then also, I would assume.
It'll be
zoning-
flat sidewalks, I can get across.
Okay, zoning required parking too.
I'm sorry. I just, I'm looking at the elevation. The cool point. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Let's see. That was good. The
Sorry,
height-
it's a little bit.
the height of those windows, just going back to what Ben was asking. a moment ago. So that is all ceiling space on a 1-story level that you're proposing. And the size,
So let me back up. So the office up here will run probably right in the level of this, the front part of the office. And then, so when you go to the back, it's all gonna be wide open to the ceiling, but we may use above this office for some storage. That's the only spot. And then in the showroom in the back, we're gonna take it all the way up.
it's a good question, Jen. We're gonna get to that.
At least Ravens cut was at the back of the site.
Yeah.
It looks like y'all are cutting.
But we actually, they designed that back building around that tree. We didn't ask for a variance on that tree. We got a variance on the pecan tree up front.
I understand that I'm looking at the spot here. 13 2/10 in your finished grade around the back corner of that building. It's 12.5. I'm just wondering, let's see how they cut in the roots out of that tree.
Right.
Have you been to TRC? Has the project been to TRC yet?
Yeah, that is, Forsberg's doing all that, and they're the last phase of all that.
It's gonna be approving the tree removal. I didn't get a comment about how close. He may not have seen that yet.
I'm just, because the reason I'm asking is that the grade on it's already deep. You know, we're cutting the roots out, so we're putting the building.
That doesn't Eric allow needs to be on that staff level, right? And they're asking.
Generally, well, he can, you know, it's kind of one of those things, is generally trying to speak very.
Yeah.
But F's is a staff level, D's is debatable. It's just, I'm just concerned that, you know, you work in the building around.
I asked that question. We asked to take the tree out. Because we give us more space, but then he said no, so we got to roll it. We initially, we asked him to remove the tree and he said, don't try for it too much. So we didn't need the space. We wanted it. We didn't need it. So we agreed to move it around.
Questions? Anyone here from the public that would like to speak on the project?
Staff observations first, proposed Includes a contemporary building style with rhythmic panels arranged in a playful manner and a roof plane that folds down to form the north exterior wall being introduced to the context of its industrial. Staff would like to know what the design inspiration for this project was. The design direction is contemporary and interesting, but we want to those good. Number one, the height, scale, and mass of the proposed is acceptable for this area. Number two, at the rear of the building, one wall with square panels and ground. It's on horizontal lines. It is worth restudying to determine if these might be. Number three, while the roof projection does provide covering for the entries, it's thin, shallow, horizontal canopy. Better emphasize. We do recommend.
Thanks, David. For discussion. Andy, to your point, the two things that it's really a TRC issue, not the DRB issue, though, is the tree and the recent encroachment and the garage doors, because none of the plans that I presume going to TRC show the garage doors unless I've missed it. And so I don't know how that would affect zoning comments.
And it's more, it does kind of fall into, we're going through so much effort to save the tree. And I know it's kind of an overlap of the two boards. And, we do run into this sometimes. It is, I think from an engineering standpoint, we need to do everything.
Yeah, and it's already.
And for health. Yeah, there's some difference between plans as to what that tree actually is. So, landscape plan probably has the engineering plan. Those things have some effect as to how much you can do. Yes, I mean, as you say, the roll-up doors and how those roll-up doors are accessed have some concerns for me.
Yeah, I mean, from a TRC perspective, particularly. The roll-up doors are not shown on the Forsberg's plans. So right now, the sidewalk and parking spaces that block it, with there being a limited number of parking spaces, I assume those are all required by zoning based on the square footages. And so I don't know how staff will look at parking in front of the roll-up doors with regard to zoning.
Another
Because
question.
that is the architectural site plan that TRC probably has not seen. They would have seen all the four starters.
I guess another question would be the same is that I think that this, they may not have talked about it in the university. I think this was just saying, this site is so very tight that all of these issues kind of play into site plan. I don't want to step on anybody. It is that, we are loading up this site. Very little green space. A conceptual plan. And, and the staff alluded to it. I'm just not really sure, actually too. I have some problems. And, I understand, the buildings. But it's just, it just feels like we're pushing the limit and we're haven't figured out all of the play.
I wrote down on my notes that things like it's called too much attention to itself. That area, that was such a nice, elegant, simple building that was torn down. Which, it's an industrial area, but it should be a much simpler background building in that site rather than something that's this. I appreciate that it's been, you know, taking the time for site plan. Just doesn't seem appropriate for me from the site.
There's some scale issues. that You guys have a wonderful reputation. You've known me for a long time. But it's just, when you look at when you travel in the street, particularly in this area now, there are a variety of new structures that are starting to define the character of this stretch of property. And they're carrying a couple of things that I would urge you to look back at. One is a sense of scale. There's a loss of scale here. If the scale figures and the elevations are correct, it's overwhelming. One of the things that we talked to a number of applicants about is the aspect of the relationship with that streetscape for the individual being walking, riding the bicycle, even driving down, and use that sense of scale, particularly with regards to levels of floor. And I understand the effort to pursue a much higher ceiling elevation, but extreme in terms of its communication. And that's the other thing, is that every building that has been built recently along the street communicates very well with the street. There's clarity with regards to the floors, there's clarity with regards to the scale of administration, there's clarity with regards to the materials that are applied. And I, for one, love mahogany. But I believe that there are simpler ways to reflect this, and particularly a purpose. If you're going to use mahogany, it needs to be used for a purpose. It needs to either be the creation of a volume, it needs to define an entry, it needs to do something, as opposed to and then particularly with the height of the structure, you are 2 feet, two stories. What did you say, 19 feet, 20 feet? 20 feet, yeah. Virtually have 2 stories of that. I grant you, you've got. I really encourage a position is a study of the context of the area, and to get a better sense with respect to the scale of other projects that are going on here, which may enlighten you and provide some insight as to a stronger direction for your identity, client, and the branding. I don't.
You had a question or?
This is the beginning. I just don't know.
It's help. I can.
There's just a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, what Venus was saying about the scale. I mean, where the window height is 15 feet high, you've got, you know, small, tiny rooms that are inside of those. You know, a tiny little office, a little 10 by 10 office has a 16-foot high ceiling.
That was, the choice to me was the outside
It's just-
versus the inside. I mean, it's an office for a supervisor.
Understood.
He shouldn't even be in there.
But the scale is just kind of, it's kind of off.
Yeah, I would. I really believe I'm doing this for the benefit of the applicant. I would move for denial and ask that they go back and evaluate the textual aspects of Union Street. Presentation of the height, scale, and mass of the proposed structure, this
Control direction.
an architect's direction.
Yes, if I may add, is for them to, while studying it is have the site complement the building. And then finally, just think the package as you come back.
Couple sides.
Yes. It is, it's just a lot of information, and especially the conceptual.
But let's get with the motion for denial, where we study architectural direction and contextually speaking. Thank you. Any further discussion? And so are you wanting to amend the motion?
I just wanted to add that the site should work in conjunction with the redesign. And that to request that I can scale down the package to just what's required.
And David, if you could coordinate with TRC on the few items that we talked about as well.
Exposed to the factory.
One thing I want to make sure that you understand is that we're not against the project by any means.
They're not in it.
Okay. Oh, now take roll, Ashley. Martin?
Yes, in favor of the motion.
Ben? And I'm also yes in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank
Really appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, and you, go ahead. Next on the agenda is item number 3, 1133 Savannah Highway, requesting final approval for a new retail building for phase 2 of the Greenfield site.
Here or wherever you like. You don't need to. You don't have to. Didn't have any content slides for this thing, so, just do that.
Okay.
Just start with it.
Well, I'll just sort of lean on this. But my name is Jeff Pearson. I was here before you about a month ago. I represent as the principal of SJC Ventures out of Georgia. We're the developers of West Ashley Station, which is a phase 1 completed project with Whole Foods on the West Ashley on Savannah Highway. We came back in front of you last time, and there was a good discussion around some of the design intent that we had put into place after conversations with staff and this board. We made those revisions, we worked with staff, and then we are back for a third time. Our hope as always is that we are able to satisfy the design intent. We did not sit on our hands. We made lots of what we think very productive changes that matches the spirit and intent. We've had a number of conversations with staff to really try to understand the nuances of those. So hopefully we'll be able to see those and see that we've really tried hard to engage and make sure that we're capturing those elements that were important. So as I did last time, I'm going to go through them point by point, talk about what we did, show them, and then I will be here to answer questions as y'all go through them as a board. So number one, we'll go through the staff comments. One of the main staff comments were around the canopies. And I think the idea was to capture the canopy on the eastern end, western end of the property. Felt like, it needed to match the sort of storefront and canopy of Whole Foods. So we did try to anchor the western portion. I think it shows best on slide 27 26 and 27. So if you go there.
Actually, it's numbers different than.
Huh?
So, you tell me the page number.
26. I'm sorry, yeah, we were. So this is the first one and the next one, so it's the same here, 26, yeah. So you can see before there was this truncated, we had already sort of improved it, so it wasn't a linear structure. The comments were to improve and make it a little bit more congruent. The last comment was, how do we create more of a cafe feel? Let's anchor it as we did on the eastern side. So we pulled it around the corner, and then if you'll go to DRB 27, you'll see that it extends past the end there. So it really is an active anchor canopy that has a little bit more depth and engagement. So we did that. We also studied building 600. Were there ways to improve the design? We looked at leases, we looked at parking counts, we looked at our TRC. And this is just, the code has changed so much in the state regulations as it has to do with lands of disturbance and what we can actually put underground as far as stormwater, what we're allowed to do for our lease. So we studied a lot of things. We did end up enclosing the dumpster area. We put that in the building because that was a big comment. We'll show that later. So that we were able to completely enclose that and create a more, people were concerned about smell. So we've made it something where we could add HVAC so that it actually doesn't have smells coming from it. So that should alleviate that concern. And we felt like we handled those comments appropriately. Provide street and traffic signs at applicable locations. This is something that we've agreed to do, and we'll work with staff on that. We think it's appropriate. We've shown most of them in the site plan, but you can't show all of them. That'll be as part of our TRC final submittal. And then the last comment was a comment about reconfiguring the park, not reconfiguring the parking lot. So that was really a non-action item. The board comments, add transparency and stream utilities behind building 600. This is DRB 28. I had to go all the way back, and we'll have to all the way back. So we were able to add some, we call it fenestration transparency. So you can see that we streamed the utilities with these barriers, and we've added those storefront glass, make it more transparent. To create this idea that you can enter from the front and back. Provide alternative materials to waffle block, grass, pervious pavers. So I'm going to present two items. So the question at hand is the turf blocks. So we agree that having natural turf there with a high frequency center is probably not the best. Especially in this community, we'll know that during dry seasons it will, and even we talked to our contractor about, do we put irrigation in there? Would that be an effective way to deal with it? His comment was probably not, even with the oil. So the comments that you made were probably not. I like the greenery. I just like breaking up the sort of the gray and the black tones. So we would suggest an artificial turf. We sent this to David. David, there's a lot of information about artificial turf. It is artificial. I get it. I actually have artificial in my pavers at my house. I love it. I think it looks great all year. It has almost imperfections that make it look natural. But here's what we've done, and y'all can discuss this in closed session, is we said, this is the one that y'all approved time and time again. This is the pervious paver that you guys have said, we agree with this. And if that's your choice, that's your choice. This is my preference. I just like the green just to offset the feel of the parking lot, but we will accept this as well. And that will leave that to the discretion of this body. Alternative materials to slate on pedestrian walk. We have provided what is called a plantation mix, which was suggested by this board. Hey, would you mind? I'm not even sure what slide is appropriate. There's a nuanced discussion here that I want you guys to be aware of. Because we want to be very above board. So our intention is to create a path of plantation mix that allows accessibility from the adjacent walkway. It's actually a dead end road. We provide it through over here, but this was a nicer avenue. Now, the challenge is that because of this new stormwater code, the moment that we start showing that we're doing anything over, the TRC staff starts to say, this is lands of disturbance. Now, lands of disturbance actually has an engineering sort of designation, but I don't want to fight that battle of all the battles that I need to fight. They say, you know, because you are able to limb up trees, right? That doesn't create additional stormwater. You're able to de-weed. You're able to put mulch. You're able to put plantation mulch. You're able to do all these things as long as it doesn't allow erosion or additional settlement issues. But their point is, we don't want to see it, and they've said, we don't want to see it. So what we did is in our submission to the TRC staff, we've said, please note that no disturbances will be done, but we will work to improve and delimb and sort of enhance this area. So we've put the note, they know what we're trying to do, but they're asking us to leave it off as a physical sort of entity, because if we place it on afterwards, we can certainly do that. That's not, I could go out there today and put plantation mix. I'm not creating additional disturbance or stormwater issues. But this is a nuance because staff is dealing with these new regulations and it just creates a little bit of an issue. So the agreement was that we would put it in the notes. So note 10 says exactly what we're going to do in this buffer, which says we're enhancing it. No trees will be removed, but we will enhance and improve that. Any questions about that before I move on? So we are doing the work.
We'll get to questions after.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
I don't like talking this much time about people asking questions, but we'll go there. So we are doing the work. We 100% agree to do the work. It will be plantation mix instead of the slate, which the Southern boys brought, which I have in my yard, which I'm embarrassed about now. I didn't know. I should tell my wife, make a different decision. But we are including in
Yeah, you figure that one out.
She's made lots of bad decisions. So, okay, so that was alternative to slate, break up walk in front of building 200 with palm wells and widen path. So you can see how we've put in planters as suggested. It is a nice wide walkway, but we did put in planters. We actually put in a tree and planters around these this rear patio and some planters over here. So we did try to take that advice, soften it up, add some planters. You know, we do look to the tenants to do most of the sort of enhancement, but we'll provide them with this great starting block, and I think they'll even do more with it. So that would be great. Substitute, and I'm not even going to try to say it. Ben, can you say these two plant species? We have placed the floor Ben is a landscape architect by trade, so he knows how to say those words. But we did take the advice that was offered here to have replaced them. Also with the salt palmettos, we've replaced the azaleas and the lilies of the Nile as part of the discussion. There was some discussion about recess fenestration if it's possible. We've provided that and we'll make sure that is done. Softened patio areas, we talked about that with trees and some of the landscape planting. And then show previous and current color site plan at the next review. We've done that. We've marked them as previous plan in red so that you guys can see the changes. We really do appreciate this board and all the feedback. I hope that you see how the plan has evolved and has become more in keeping with what this community wants to see out of their shopping centers, even a high frequency shopping center. Our request here tonight is that we be approved and move to the plan. Thank you, and I'm here for comments, questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I did have a question on the landscape note 10 that you were referencing.
Yes.
Understand that note, but did you have anywhere else what you intend to do in the plans?
We're submitting to David, which is what is our intention to do. And that will be what we deliver. What we can't do is just submit the details to the TRC. So we can submit the details to David and we will execute on those. And I hope that that is adequate for.
Those details have not been submitted yet.
I'm not sure, but he just wanted to understand why it's not showing. Because that's gonna be the same thing.
The details are that we're enhancing the buffer, that we're gonna go up and limb and we're gonna take out there's a bunch of weeds and there's a bunch of poison ivy and climbing this and climbing that. All that can be improved. And then there's a pathway, which we've shown here roughly, that will be created for pedestrians. That will be on top of the existing, where we can, we'll be able to balance it out with trees and other natural sources to sort of create that.
Any other questions? Hear from the public that would like to speak on the project?
Chief, just have some staff observation. Yeah, applicants have addressed most all the previous board and staff comments from the last meeting. They received conceptual approval at the last meeting and now asking for final approval. The backs of building 500, 600, improvement of the spring and utilities and added construction. The active canopy on the front northwest corner of building 600 ties this addition into the matching the opposite of the existing building. We're seeing that building 500, 600 have been improved and added landscape. That supports the pervious paver with the gravel between the pavers. And we do recommend 500.
Thanks, Peter. Does the package submitted meet all final?
Well, I guess what I should have said in my final approval today, but we still would need to submit the final set the staff at the same time they're submitting the permit set. We would check everything.
So are we actually looking at a permit?
Essentially, that's what they're asking. They want to go right to permit. Would you be okay with whenever you get preliminary approval here, you always have to still submit a final permit set to the staff. Just to check it to make sure that.
Final
That is,
doesn't come before the board unless we specifically request it, so it all goes to staff at that point.
and our intention in working through the first is that, once it's pretty much in keeping with what the direction of this board is, that he would, if there were questions that didn't match the spirit and intent, to come back, we're happy to do that. Our thought is that we can work on the final details with him to make sure the permit set matches the spirit and intent. It will come back as.
That
So
would be
it's
preliminary.
you could still get the-
Just say that I would recommend that we use the paper. I won't get
Never
into,
would have
I won't
guessed
get into the details.
Never thought about it.
And then the path, what is being proposed for that property has to be.
Fix the motion to include that, not the details, but just that must be submitted with the next package.
And I wanted install, it is,
We would make sure. it's final inspection.
yeah, the final inspection that's done. Mary, comment for the paper with the gravel. Pervious paper.
resolution for preliminary approval with board comments. One, to use the permeable gravel paver, and two, the enhancements to the buffer and path must be installed by final inspection, and those details should also be submitted to staff at final review. Is there a second? Any further discussion?
I'll just add that I appreciate the revisions to building up the discussion we had at the last submittal. I think that it's an improvement to the center, and in the long run, I think that the tenants will value the space, and hopefully it creates greater integration with the park and the town.
I'll go, Ashley. And
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
also in favor. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you. Yes.
What was it if we learned QSR or something?
QSR service revenue.
Chris, you know what that is?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Next on the agenda is item number 4, Mayday Highway at Crown Common Way, requesting preliminary approval for a new commercial building.
And this is before you can jump right into it.
Unless you want me to go, I'll just.
Actually, it's all right, but put it in a couple of slides, and this shouldn't have one that you showed. I think everybody knows what this is.
Yeah.
This is big.
The name is Chris Alden. Only approval for building stuff in the 7th building of development. Here, at the conceptual, there were some staff comments and board comments that address elevations. Just to address the staff comments first. First one was to consider enlarging the phases on the south side of the basin. Highway, so picture on the top is our wide version of that. We enlarged the windows to the extent possible given the nature of the retail space and the functional back of house space. So we added side lights to all the windows and door systems, so now it's a center door versus an offset. So comment to the line signage. So we actually raised the building heights slightly. Facing those center bays to the line of see. On this side, there wasn't a comment associated with this, but we did raise that alternating block and brace forcing so that where the sign is located is consistent throughout the building where originally didn't have that happen to the side. The next comment was a board comment about the canopies on the side. We had a more traditional slope and bracketed canopy where on the front of the building we had a more contemporary steel tube detail. We have changed that to match all the contemporary detailing around. We're also asked to consider the cupolas, and if they're not going to be functional, to either make them functional or to remove them. The discussions with the owner, they didn't feel it was practical from the standpoint to make them functional, so we have removed those. And then final, I think the major discussion point was the cables. If you go back to the other elevation, the front gable on the south side, and the idea of having those be more consistent with the massing concept of the building. And I think when you see on the side elevations, next slide. Stopped it at the first there, and I think I understand that didn't architecturally feel like it was involved, if you will. We studied it a couple of different ways. Go to the roof plan. I think the obvious choice is to extend it all the way through to the back gable. The challenge, we had two problems with that. One, it didn't allow us enough leftover roof area for the units to be housed. And then the other one was the owner really like to avoid having roof access on the interior. That was required to do that, so the disruption to tenants. And so allowing us to maintain sort of parapet side allows us to have exterior access to that roof and maintenance. So what we proposed is the more traditional additional shed approach. We feel like from the side and from the front, that resolves that issue while still maintaining the aesthetic of their overall development. That really addressed the comments that we received. If you want to move down to this. Period. So this is the detail of the other steel too, work with the plate steel and portion to it. You know, elsewhere. Does I will acknowledge that we are showing the 5/16 right siding, last siding, for two reasons. The first one is the obvious one; it's not available, but you know, I'm not prepared to give you an AI. So
We'll consider this one, Chris.
Did an hour.
And the other reason is we originally received relief from the requirement on the 6 buildings instead of we felt it was taking back to the 7. Really, that kind of concludes the changes that we made from conceptual approval. But I will mention that we do have a dumpster enclosure that does just limit the existing one that we already on there, so no changes there.
Any questions?
Chris, the sheds on the front on the basement Maybank, is there a site constraint that you can't push it out a little bit further? I don't believe so.
Say that again?
No, I was just saying, you know, if you look up, yeah, if you look at
Probably not. Sure. It's like, we're not that close. So.
Other questions?
well, why did the 5/16 get approved for the other one next year?
A little while.
Yeah, I mean,
Was that?
I think it was a material thing then too.
I don't know that there was a supply board. I mean, I don't think it was official policy. I think it was something that.
I remember the discussion.
Yeah, I remember the discussion as well. I don't, but it was not a supply issue back then.
Probably more economic.
That's what that's,
Yeah.
if it wasn't, I think it was more.
I think it was maybe they weren't, whether it was solution to all. Additional questions? Anyone from the public? You had staff comments.
Have addressed all the previous boards and support the improvements made to the building. and landscape. The massing in relation to the roof forms has improved. However, the shed roof portions are very tall. And they're also very shallow. Lowering them could cause interference between the shed roof and the joining gable. I hope that we should explain whether these portions could be deepened so that the shed roof portions could have more protection. Number 2, consider lowering the party interest penalties to align with the worker ribbon.
Thanks, David. More discussion, Nathan Richard.
This is a wonderful compliment. Been quite a nice set, and I think to a model. I just want to clarify, so not conceptual.
They got
They are, yeah.
I was concerned to change that. That's, I'll gladly make a motion.
Or you can say staff comment. I didn't. Staff comment.
Not covering the extension.
That's what they do. So that's good. That's how you understood.
Trying to explain it because
He's saying the same thing, either shorten it or deepen the shed.
Just the shed.
I think you just extended it.
that was number 1.
I think if you extend it a little bit.
Did you ask about number one or number two?
No.
That's comment one.
Number two.
Number two is what he-
Number two.
Number two is what he asked.
And he said, he was saying to lower the canopy right above the window, but I like that. Yeah, it's in-
So that's,
Okay, so we have a motion for preliminary approval with staff comment one. We have a second.
Second.
Thanks, Ben. Any further discussion? Call roll, Andy,
Yes.
Ashley. Aaron, yes. Almost yes in favor. Personally, you're staying put, so next is item
Oh, yeah.
number 5, 6, 10, Citadel Haven Drive, requesting conceptual approval for addition to the Anderson Area Service Building.
If I could just, have you look at the screen. See the location of the project. There's a closer view.
isn't this an expansion of the?
It's gonna be just in the building.
And if it was less than 3,000, it wouldn't have come to us, right? Yes. Is that what it is? So he was just a little over 3,000.
I'm in support of it.
Good job,
I'll
Chris.
just Offer a comment just to save time. I mean, I studied this from an architecture standpoint. I always like to get this explanation. of it. I am good with this project. Thank you for the city. I would use for
Conceptual or preliminary?
the-
No, we're asking
So,
for preliminary.
fine.
Well, I would have asked for
Yeah, I would say preliminary.
We have a motion for preliminary approval or any of the staff comments relevant to this.
I would like.
One of the
Okay.
two.
With staff comments 1 and 2, is there a second?
I'll second it. Just with one question, David, is there any way that if, I mean, y'all are fine with the, I would just like to see what comes.
Sure. I can get- Yeah. We were just asking. for-
Chris is like, what if I be?
Approval with comments.
Staff comment 1 is landscape plan to be added to and approved upon to the ground new addition. 2, the applicant should show the existing landscape around the addition and then determine where additional landscape plan to be added.
Just-
Um,
just so everyone
okay.
can get that.
We have a motion for preliminary approval with staff comments 1 and 2. Board comment to send the final landscape plan to the board landscape architects.
With, can I qualify that with, I mean, it is kind of to showing the existing landscape. It would be helpful to have like a photograph of what's there, you know, to understand.
Sure.
And I know that's kind of covered in two, but just to clarify.
This is it.
Okay.
There's just some existing trees that could have been shown.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking more of like the plants like closer. to the
There-
building and all
there's-
that
I
you
don't
can't
think
really
there
see.
are any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
so
yeah,
there's
there
some
are.
stuff,
There
it's just hard to
Yeah.
see with the cars, so I don't know if we can get a
Yeah. we would
better
rather-
angle or
we
some
would
kind
rather
of
see
like
this existing as well.
document of what's there, so we understand what we're matching.
Yeah.
Would be helpful.
So repeat the motion. No, I appreciate the attention. We're not very good at it normally, so I appreciate it. I get excited. Preliminary approval, with staff comments 1 and 2, along with board comments. 1, staff to send PDFs of the final landscape plans to the board landscape architects. And 2, to provide more comprehensive photos
Documentation.
or documentation of existing. We have this motion made by Dina, seconded by Andy. Any further discussion? Call roll. Ashley? Aaron? Yes. Ben? Yes.
Good job, Chris.
Well done.
I don't think I've ever been on one of these without a presentation.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can tell you in my 10 years, I can count on one hand.
That's great. Chris. I mean, we should bow or
I
something.
know.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Say this.
We
There you
get
go.
a consent agenda.
Yeah, yeah, as long as we get to add comments, I think we can do this a lot faster.
I know, right?
I can't believe we're already number 7 before 6
I know. We're setting records here.
Make a public comment on that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, number 6 is deferred. They pulled, the applicant pulled from the
Well, I
agenda.
did want to make a comment on design and your initial opening statement. I wanted to comment about the traffic. I'm a resident of Northfield Drive.
Sure, our board has no purview over traffic, so unfortunately,
Well,
it's
it didn't say that in the online information.
So yeah, these applicants just pulled.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear somebody with the city to help me out with getting the right turn lane. There on March, with all the traffic from the car.
the city, the TRC board has a representative from the Traffic and Transportation Department. Would, you can hear his name, or would you like?
Yeah, do you have the card? I don't have one. I can have you email me. I can get in touch, and put you in touch with you.
That's a messed up intersection.
I live in that neighborhood.
I work off of Markville right now.
I fight with traffic.
People making left turns on that. It's dangerous. And yeah.
Sorry, you had to sit and wait.
That's all right. I enjoy watching you all in your.
It's a nice way to put it.
That's a good moving missile.
Good citizen.
Next on the agenda is item number 7, 1995 Eagle Island Drive, requesting conceptual approval for a new hotel, event space, and guest lodge.
Contact slide showing everybody where the project is. You see the red thumbs up, 1985 Island Drive. Closer view. 1.5, 1.8 acres. Surrounded by Maya. The side, the street on one side, triangle. And with that, I'll turn it over to the applicant.
And Tara Romano and Neil Stevenson Architects. So the next slide, I'll point out a couple of things.
So are you okay with 10 minutes for your time?
I'm bad at 10 minutes. I'm
Okay.
bad.
15 or 5?
This location on Daniel Island Drive here, the property's across the street from the soccer stadium, and there's a project in the works across the street there.
Sorry.
The multi-use development will be a mixture of offices and retail and apartments. This project is going to be roughly 2 stories, and then this existing old Black Rock building is a 4-story building. Again, it's triangular shaped property here that's surrounded by the marsh. There's go back to maybe go back to the first page of it and try to do kind of a quick overview snapshot of the project. So the proposed uses for the project are hotel and event space with a small restaurant. There'll be 38 guest rooms and distributed throughout the main building, guest houses, the cottages and families throughout the site. The buildings are all organized around the courtyards, pathways between each, pathways along the perimeter, along the marsh. The pedestrian experience is the main goal of the project. So we have rich landscaping plan for along all the pathways and along the marsh. And then there are porches that address all the marsh views and parking sitting under all of the buildings. We're showing the existing 1-story building on site. You can see how the flood elevation cuts through the property. And there are a couple boxes on the site. Next sheet. This again shows that future development, 2 to 4 stories, 4 stories here. Those are kind of the closest context across the marsh. Next slide. The photos from below. And photos, this is standing out at the point of that triangle. You can see along the east side, There's a bulkhead along the edge, not many trees on this side, whereas on the west side, it's all lined. That edge right now. Slides, so it's an existing site plan showing the building which will be removed, and then the flood zone. Property. The way we have this or proposed site plan organized, we have a circular entrance drive coming off Van Island Drive, and that leads right to the main building. Valley drop off is right here. We have an entrance lobby under the building, circulars there, and then it all kind of leads through to the Martians back here, back patio, and the net space. And then off to each side, we have these two courtyards, have two guest houses and a cottage organized around each of them. And then you'll see little paths with vista points that all lead right into the courtyard and right out to the marshes. Pedestrian paths under the courtyards and porches all lead through the courtyards. And then it keeps, vehicular traffic around the edges. And then you have wooden boardwalks around the tree side of the property here, is where all the fun. And then a gravel pathway along the one side here. The cabana out at each side right on the water. Just quick zoning stats. The project does comply with all the zoning requirements. There are 48 parking spots required, and we have 50 of them. And those are all handled, almost all of them are handled underneath these buildings in the Valley Park and back lifts. The allowable height is 4 stories. The main building's 3 stories of parking, 2 guest houses are 2 stories of parking, and then the little cottages and cabanas are just 2 stories. The flood elevation is, we do need to rest all of the buildings. 20-foot visual buffer zone, and then an additional 10-foot building setback around the shapes and size, and a 10-foot build to on the front. So we're able to comply with all of those. We worked for years, and we worked closely with League Children, zoning, with Enlarging the ARB, on coming up with a layout scheme for this that worked for everybody. Daniel Island actually allowed 52 units on the site, and we have 30. Next slide. And just to mention, we've also been working with civil and landscape architects and any team that on initial vetting. It's a big site, so. Tree plan, so you can see we're saving all the trees along the edges here. These are all in red, these are small enough that we can remove 2 in yellow, 1 of them is red, 5 of them, and the other one is dying. Here. Another grand tree up here that we're seeing as well. These grand trees. Next section, kind of cutting through the marsh here to this other property. Then there's going to be 2 to 4 stories construction on this property. And this is where we are in the marsh. Next slide. White sides doing civil and landscaping and providing some exhibits. This exhibit shows landscaping around the edges along the marsh. Next slide. This one shows landscaping around all the pathways. And then this is the landscaping along the going through these renderings, this is looking south. The main building is out at the point, that area there. And then we have these 2 courtyards, which are surrounded by guest houses and a private beach. And then little cabanas along the marsh. The valley, the side that you can see it there. Next slide. Next. It's looking more north with east. And the side we have. This is the entryway off of Dandelion Drive. And there's one grand tree, I'm gonna figure it out here. Existing grand tree. Because you pull up at the ballet entrance of the main building. Lobby in here, the Oculus, let the main building shown from the rear view of the marsh. And this is the main building from that marsh. Got patio area here, and then a couple of that. This is the space area. Not there, some more rooms above. And then there's towards along each of these sides. Shows an example of one of the courtyards. The ladies' courtyards were the main entry drop-off point. And then pedestrians come through these porticos, arched porticos, with porches. And again, everything kind of leads to the center of the courtyard. So we pass through this way, the off-part path, and then bridges which connect each of these two guest house buildings, and then the cottage that comes from it. Cottage is centered directly between, the view and it's out to the wall. View to the guest houses from the marsh view, and you can see that pathway that leads right into the center of the courtyard. Just looking down the golf cart paths. Right, and then this is the pedestrian walkway. From the east side, we have the lawn, see two of the guest houses, and the pool area. And then at the back, underneath of these porches are other little areas, rocking chairs, lounge chairs, to sit in the marsh. And this is just east side of the lawn, children's guest house, then the west side where we faded out the trees. We're traveling west on Dandelion Drive. As you can see here, there are a lot of trees right now. Faded out the trees, start to see the guest house. Building. Slide. And you looking traveling east on the drive. Again, you have this is the side where you have all the trees before you won't get a filtered view. Right, so site language materials, just go through from the elements, inspiration, you have the bridges, and landscaping, the paths, language, courtyard language, little wooden path through the trees on this side, whereas there's gravel path through the lawn on this side. There you have the travertine and the entrance that goes through this back area. Brick pathways are all in this unit. Which walkways and porticos, and then courtyard. Kind of inspiration, which is the language. A mixture of traditional and contemporary. Probably going to go with some themes and ceilings and railings. Main building, the material palette, white drapes, couple gates, weathered cedars, siding, and floors above that. Then the painting trim. Elements, the rail could be a wood railing at the top, and then we'll see more into these other drawings, so just cross people. So again, a little bit of modern, a little bit of traditional forms, lots of porches sticking out of the marsh. And so we have, this is You know, something that looks nice. And you can see it, see, main building will get dropped off, little entrance on here. Which you can access the elevator, we're on circular stair. Got the back patio in here, there under the area here. All the parking and utility services are each there. Above that is event space, and you're checking on the bathrooms. The restaurant is on the floor above that, with a few of the restrooms, and then the top floor has one more restroom. And it's in wood, then you see your shingle siding, wood top rails, crisscross wood railings, fencing, mover, around the building. Then the language of the guest houses, cottages, and cabanas, means that, you know, the organized around courtyard, with our walkways, bridges, domed light gray stucco and those buildings, and then more of a stairs, buildings, and archways, trellises in the back. Houses, the parking lots of the ground floor. This is that system of the arch walkway that's being built here and the portions of cylinder. That each have three rooms, which looking at the marsh, front porch addressing the courtyard. With the plan and the little mechanical mover. Families or two families, sorry, the cottages, on the courtyard. Front elevation. One room, 22 floor. And then there's a room out to March. Finally, the families, which are the primary units, is going to each floor, same thing. In space in March, they're mechanical, they're on one side.
Thank you. Any questions? I had it just about parking. The project been to TRC?
There's a pre-app TRC and ran through everyone.
Okay. I was, it's a TRC issue that'll get flushed out, but the parking count seemed a little bit low for hotel, restaurant, and the event space. I wasn't sure if there was.
All right. Kind of calculated, for the guest rooms, like smart accommodations, smart accommodations district, we had us use the same calculation for guest rooms, 2 to 3. So with that, we have 3 rooms, and that gives 26 spaces, and then for the event space in the restaurant, he pointed us to the Daniel Island code, which for commercial uses, they do 2 per 1,000 square feet. So the space in the restaurant are 10,845 square feet. So that came up with 22 spaces,
Okay, which is what all the way on.
and so that's.
Yes. Which is what down. Okay.
This was delightful. I was really looking forward to your presentation. Because I love project. Again, it's a situation where it really wishes came first, so everybody else can see it. I guess the only question that I really have is, have you been through value engineering? Is this project met the budget as far as?
We have been through some of the value engineering, like we've been through initial MEP reviews of where the et cetera. The owner, George Trevor here, here. Development. And, along the first one.
Kind of like throwing a dart at a board these days, kind of got to plug on through until you get to it.
Well, I know you gave them a blank check. That was no problem whatsoever.
That's usually what I do. Unfortunately, that's for everybody.
I think that, you know, by using traditional forms, traditional materials, we're able to, you know, build close to.
The main cost is gonna be the main building. The other buildings, I do have a construction company, so we'll probably self-perform it. They'll be, basically, we're hoping to, run the costing on the cottages out there and whatnot, usually rough square footage on this. And we built the budget, I mean, what's helping the project as well as the voluntary about years ago, I guess. At an extreme discounted rate compared to what it would be right now.
It was an outstanding presentation. It's nice to see design publicly.
It's really details too.
I thought it was a lot.
Yeah.
I question.
I had a couple of questions. The wood siding, I mean, I know it's early, but what do you envision the wood siding? To be? On that,
Whatever. I feel like it keeps switching these days, so, you know, we start,
You missed that.
yeah, you missed the CEUs.
well, we've been through it down and out. And we were, you know, respecting, and then last time we were like, that's not available.
At
anymore."
Artisan.
Yeah, yeah. And then we found, right, the artisan isn't available, but then we did find a substitute for a residential project downtown recently.
Can we go back and
Where,
By the
done-
time we
done
build
my
this, we'll see what's available.
I'd love to see,
Let me know what
love to
that
see
is.
if you know that product.
Yeah, let me know what that is.
Oh, okay.
Is it a sanitation?
Emails, because I won't remember, but I will be able to look it up.
I had another question with side, the weathered cedar shingle side on the main, where did that come from? Where's that contextual on the island somewhere? Is that like a gray siding, right, cedar siding?
We want it to
I'm just
be
curious.
Silver.
Is that anywhere else on the island?
I'm trying to, like, I know I've seen it in places on the island, but I can't.
Commercially, no, not really, but residentially, we're using support building, I think 3 or 4 houses right now. So you're seeing some cedar shake back there. Dental application, but we're trying to have this blend in where it's not just a, Motel 6. Where it kind of has the feeling of a restaurant.
So it's in the residential.
Correct.
It is.
Yeah, I think Kiowa has a lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, I moved it, but, that's
Yeah.
nice. I wear it on.
Questions? No public comment?
Staff observations, staff feels the height, scale, and mass of this project is appropriate. The approval of the low country design direction and materials. Landscape plan is off to a nice start. Screen plantings at the street are good and something we would have asked for. Height is small at 1.5 or anything, but although the proposed development fits, the applicants have done a nice job. too crowded due to the height scale in the building. Number one, while some of the buildings are very tall, some porch bay spacing on the guest houses and the lower level of the main building result in bays which are pushing close to a horizontal proportion. Consider options which might include these. Due to the buildings feature great deep sockets. Consider this material selection consistent with this. Number three is suggest omitting the rounded cantilever portion of the housing at the second floor. Number four, by window review, use up the porch, balcony column, and use unit cutter. Number five, by preliminary review, revise the top of the paper columns on the back of the main building in stucco. Be consistent with the rest of the column chapter. Alternatively, consider making the base of more monolithic stucco base. Preliminary review, steps using pilasters consistently in porches of the new house. By preliminary review at the building, at the main building, watch for the correct column and porch beams. Casement windows and some single or double. With the consistency and type of window. Portions. We do recommend conceptual conditions.
David? Anything you would like to respond or clarify to? Some comments? Or discussion?
It's such a wonderful direction that it's going, and I hate to screw them up. Evolution, I'm based on everything that I'm seeing. I really have a lot of trust in the perception. Let's do architecture. I think preliminary.
The landscape is really good. I mean, I would just say being simple with the landscape that and develops is probably the direction we go. I mean, there's a lot of plants, a lot of really good plants shown, but I think that as you develop it, it's preliminary. I think it's really very important to be really simple. I think it would complement would ask that substitute the bit of shown something. It's all it seems like a lot of hats pathways.
You said it a couple more.
Maybe disabled. I really think it's a really great project. I think it's a really great project.
And we always appreciate the outcome, the little personal details, the circular aspects of things. Wonderful component with regards to the overall aspect, picking up the little detail to the big picture of the project.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept or approve. Have confidence. Yeah, yeah. Not through.
I agree with you. I don't care.
Well, that's the only one. And then pick it up Andy's board comment.
Yeah, and I'll second it. Just to continue.
Yeah, I'm really struggling with particularly. I think that what I'm seeing in the submission is a response to elevation in the environment. Certain elevations and certain orientations may mandate a different type of window application. This is so customized. But I would prefer to leave it to the discretion of the architect at this point in time to determine that. But it's just. And,
Like six, some of them they show tile asphalt, some don't. So
he changed revise just to resolve. I don't know if that would be.
Resolve.
Resolve.
resolve in detail.
That's a suggestion.
About number 4.
Number 5, like,
Number 4, please.
resolve.
And number 5.
Or, and again, I think that's,
They're talking about this. It doesn't.
okay, sure.
Cylinder.
Number 4.
So I have staff comments 1, 2, 4 through 7, and then number 5. Revise to revolve. Resolve, sorry, not revolve, resolve. So,
And then
Okay.
Andy's board comment.
and Andy's board comment to eliminate the use of privet and substitute stable liner for sulfur nose. Ben's motion, Andy second on that. Any further discussion? Roll, Ashley. Yes. Karen.
Yes, in favor.
Venus.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
congratulations for the great project.
What's y'all's rendering program? It's awesome. It's art, yeah, it's a Mac. I was PC.
And,
So y'all are like experts with art. You get a renderer to do it for you. It's a local person that does this rendering? Georgia?
It's up in the middle of the night.
All right, we have one more thing. Number 8, approval of minutes from the June 6, 2022. Thank you, Ina. Is there a second? Andy. Any further discussion? Roll, Ashley.
It's a favor.
Andy, yes, in favor.
We have,
That was a record time.
I know, right.
Good job.
I saw this agenda. and
I
I'm like,
love
we're gonna be here.
the stuff on there. We don't want to even listen to this. We just approve it. I'm sorry. That was, I mean, because I saw the submittal. I'm like, I wish this was just 3,000 square feet, so we wouldn't have had to come. It was barely-
It was great.
It was perfect.
Aaron's over here laughing at me because I'm making my.
I did the soft comments every time they show. I'm like, here we go.
You need to have just like a no flag playlist.
No flag plan.
Soft comments and
Artificial turf.
ligustrum.
Yes.
No artificial
Before the
turf.
chair leaned back.
Oh, I know.
It's an artificial turf.
Thank you. You're in swatting distance.
Yeah, I know. That was funny. His little like rant. Like,
As soon as that came out, I looked at you immediately and moved on.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Well, it's good seeing everybody.
Well, we probably-
I know, it's been a long time.
It's normally.
David, did you get
That
the
means-
motion?
I didn't, but I've got about four.
Or number what?
I think that's number 3.
For the motion?
No, it wasn't number 3. What number was it? that you had?
Yeah, let's take that.
Oh, and number 2, is the one that you denied.
Yes, that was the one you worked for. I've had, denial based on architectural directional, type scale, maps, we weren't keeping with the textual, or context of the site, and the site design to be.
Here we are, almost an hour before.
I guess we can't say you really need an architect. You
Are we still
really need a
recording?
landscape architect. Can't say.
Can't say it, but you can tell.
Well,
Yeah,
Are we off?
I don't
sure.